Webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Please sit. Let's start on our feet. We're good.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
under
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a meeting of the Board of Trustees and the Mayor for the tentative tax budget for 2022 to 2023, June of 2022 to May 31st of 2023. The tentative budget
Wait,
rate,
we gotta open the public, I gotta do roll call and open the hearing.
okay, clerk,
Mayor Sereno,
present.
trustee Sedati,
Here.
trustee Teleshek,
Here.
trustee Nesnick,
Here.
trustee Huber,
Aye.
trustee Ruffin,
Here.
trustee Lauricella,
Here.
village attorney Wallace.
Here.
Regular session, need a motion to open the public hearing for the tentative budget.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All
All
in
in
favor?
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
Notice is hereby given that the tentative budget for the Village of Wappingers Falls, Dutchess County, New York, for the fiscal year 2022-2023 has been completed and is filed with the village clerk of said village, 2582 South Avenue, Wappingers Falls, New York. where the same may be inspected by any interested person during the regular hours of the business day, from the date of publication of this notice to the date of public hearing on said budget. Notice is further given that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Wappingers Falls, New York, will conduct a public hearing at the Village Hall, 2582 South Avenue, Wappingers Falls, New York, on the 20th of April, 2022 at 7 p.m. to review said budget, and any person may be heard in favor or against any item therein contained. In summary, total appropriations for the fiscal year 2022-2023 are $5,758,232. Pursuant to Village Law, Section 5-509, notice is further given that the compensation to be paid to the mayor and each member of the Board of Trustees is as follows. Mayor, $38,000. Trustees, $8,700. Public hearings open. Any comments from the public? Nothing heard. Any comments from the board? Nothing heard. We have a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Who is that?
Trustee Ruffin.
All in favor?
Aye. Mayor votes aye.
One additional item that has to be addressed is a resolution for 2022, a resolution introducing a local law to override the tax levy limit for fiscal year 2022. Whereas general municipal law establishes limits on the amount of real property taxes that may be levied by or on behalf of any local government, thereby placed a tax levy limit on municipalities. And whereas the village board has determined that the projected expenses for fiscal year 2022 budget will increase while the revenues are projected to remain relatively flat, which will require a tax levy increase that is greater than the allowed by General Municipal Law 3-C. And whereas if this local law is adopted, the village board may override the limit on the amount of real property taxes that may be levied by the Village of Wappingers Falls and authorize the village board to adopt a budget for fiscal year 2022 in excess of the tax levy limit as defined by general municipal law. Whereas the adoption of this local law is authorized pursuant to General Municipal Law, Subdivision 5, which expressly authorizes the village board to override the tax levy limit by the adoption of the local law, approved by a vote of 60% of the village board. And whereas, in the event the village board determines that the tax levy limit needs to be exceeded, the local law to exceed the tax levy limit must be introduced and adopted before the fiscal year 2022 budget is finalized and adopted. And whereas adoption of this local law does not require the village board to exceed the tax levy limits, the village board remains free to adopt a tax levy within the limits prescribed by general municipal law. Whereas this is a type 2 action pursuant to 6 NYCRR 617.5 C20 and is otherwise exempt from environmental review pursuant to New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, also known as SEQR. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the village board hereby introduces for consideration of its adoption of the proposed local law of the year 2022 to override the tax levy limit for fiscal year 2022 in the form annexed hereto, and be it further resolved that the village board hereby determines that the enactment of the aforementioned local law is a type 2 action as defined, and accordingly the village board hereby expressly determines that this action is not an action that requires review pursuant to provisions of the New York State seeker process or pursuant to NYCRR. Be it further resolved that the village board hereby schedules a public hearing on the proposed adoption of the annexed local law of 2022 to be held at the Village Hall, 2582 South Avenue, Wappingers Falls, New York, on the 27th day of April 2022 at 6 p.m. And the village clerk is hereby directed to post publication and notice of the public hearing in the form annexed hereto. So what we need now is a vote.
Can I ask, just for the,
On a question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
yeah, just for the purposes of clarity, and to have it memorialized for anybody who might be watching now or in the future, could either the treasurer or someone else that could do it more succinctly explain, kind of like last night, you told us, you know, the ruling with NICOM and why it's important that we do it now, because if we had the funds, just because in case there's detractors questioning, I just think it's important to educate everyone. Would you mind?
So the meaning behind adopting a local law, giving you the authority to go over the tax cap, is if you don't do this, and you end up going over the tax cap, there's a very good chance that the amount that you're voting to go over the tax cap would have to be restricted by the New York State Comptroller's Office and put into a different account and would not be allowed to be touched for a year, based on what I was told from NICOM. So that's the whole reasoning behind creating the local law, giving you the authority to go over the tax cap if need be.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so the direction here is for me to advertise for the hearing for the local law on the 27th at 6 p.m. here, next Wednesday. Mayor Serino,
Aye.
Trustee Huber,
Aye.
Trustee Sidoti,
Aye.
Trustee Nesnick,
Aye.
Trustee Ruffin,
Aye.
Trustee Teleshek,
Aye.
Trustee Lauricella.
Aye.
It's carried 100%. That's it for tonight. The legal notice is there if you want to look it over. The local law is attached to your agenda if you want to look that over. Have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make the motion.
I'll second it.
Motion by Trustee Lauricella to close. Second by Trustee Sidoti. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Carried.
I didn't get one.
There it is.